Let's get into it, guys. So, practical language for daily situations, okay? So, today we're going to tackle, for today, essential topics that you're going to use all the time: shopping, traveling, directions, and food. These are life skills. These are real life skills that will make your interaction smoother and help you feel more confident, whether you're buying something, getting around, ordering food. These phrases I'm going to give you. Now, mind you guys, these are not phrases that you must use. These are phrases that you can use, okay? These are phrases that you can use, all right? So I'm going to give you some of these guidelines, all right? Some of these phrases that will help you in practical situations, okay? So for example, guys, the first I would like to go through is, I can't, there we go. So shopping is our first talk, okay? Shopping, 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 all right? So getting what you want, right? Getting what you need without the hassle, all right? Getting what you need without the hassle. So shopping is something everybody does, okay? It's important to know the basics, like asking questions and getting help. So when you're shopping, you often want to ask about prices. A simple phrase like, how much is this, works for any item. You might also want to know where things are. So you can say things like, where can I find blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then you can add this item or section that you're looking for, all right? So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. Give me a second, guys. I want to do one more thing. Make this a little more. There we go. Okay. So if you're unsure about something, don't hesitate to ask. If you don't know where something is, or you want them to repeat themselves, you can even say, can you help me? It's polite, and people are usually willing to assist you. So here's how these phrases come into play. So you can say, for example, how much is this shirt, right? How much is this shirt? How much is this shirt? Okay, so that is basically asking for a price. Where can I find the dairy section? Finding items or sections. So where you want to find something, okay? Do you have this in a size medium? When you're checking for sizes. When you want something, you ask for the size that you want, okay? Any questions, guys? I'll be happy to answer, okay? Do you have this in a size medium? Checking for size. Can you help me find this item? So asking for help locating something. Okay. In addition to these, you might also need to ask about trying things on or about payment. So here are some more other phrases that you might use, or you can tweak it your own way. Can I try this on? Usually in markets and stores and stuff, you can try an item on. So you might want to ask, can I try this on? Can I try this? Okay. Okay. I'm kind of concerned with Mr. Henderson being good with his English because he wasn't paying attention to the title. Anyways, guys, next we have, do you take credit cards? You're asking about payment options, okay? Is there a discount on this? So checking for discounts or sales. Being polite and direct will help you get what you need without hassle. And it's always add a please and thank you, because it shows that you're being courteous. It shows that you're being respectful. Okay. Sunny, RTL, RSX, Joke, RE. Anyone have any questions, guys? Any questions? Okay, so I'll continue. Finding your way without getting lost. when you're traveling, it's about knowing how to ask for directions and buy tickets. I just clicked to me. I remember the cat thing. I remember the cat actually. So I remember the cat game. I would ask a question and they would say cat, and I would give them an answer. Corazon, you can still hear me, right? So, what about traveling? So, traveling, finding your way without getting lost. So, what are some phrases you guys can use? Boy, I guess I'm losing everybody. I might cancel. I don't know. I've done impromptu classes where I'll have like a dozen people. But I'm not sure if I should continue. Now we're getting, wow. Okay, someone just pinged everybody. They get pinged again? That's funny. There we go. Huh. That's funny. Alright. I'm confused, Corazon. Oh, they're coming back. Okay. Have you guys ever come across traveling? Who travels around? Like whether they travel around their city or around a country or English-speaking country. These are things you guys might encounter when you guys are traveling, okay? So, hello Prince, hello Kevin, Zyrodrone, welcome, Arthur, hi guys. So, when you're traveling, finding your way without getting lost. So when you're traveling, it's about knowing how to ask for directions and how to buy tickets. You'll often need to know where something is. So asking, where is blah, 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 followed by the place name is a great start. If you figure it out, transportation, you can ask, how do I get to the bus station or train station or to the airport? If you're buying a ticket, you might need, I need a ticket to blah, blah, blah at the location. I need a ticket to Dubai. I need a ticket to France. I need a ticket to... So, Kevin, it's about just traveling in general. If you're in your native country, then you might not have this issue because you'll speak your native language. So, you may not have this encounter in English. But if you're ever in a situation when you're traveling or getting a ticket or anything, you might need to use these phrases, okay? Or somewhere around this, somewhere around it. So, where is the nearest bus stop? Asking for a location. How do I get to the city center? Asking directions to a specific location. I need a ticket to Washington. Buying a ticket for a specific destination. Okay. What time does the next bus leave? Asking about departure times. Okay. It's helpful to know how to ask about travel details. Like, does the train go to the airport? Where can I buy a ticket? Or maybe subway, go to the airport. So you're checking a destination. Where can I buy a ticket? You're asking for ticket purchase locations. Is there a direct route or route? Asking about direct versus indirect routes or routes, I guess. These questions help you navigate travel confidently. Knowing how to ask the basics makes it easier to tell where you need to go. Okay? Any questions about finding your way without getting lost, guys? Any questions about finding your way? Hello, Sage. Hello. And Corazon, I know you're listening. You're welcome to join at any time to chime in your 2 cents. I think these are pretty practical phrases that would be used. They don't sound too what's the word I'm looking for? They don't sound too monotoned, right? I think these are phrases that would be used. I would say them. I think Corazon would say them. If we're speaking, we might speak in a more combined speech way, or what do you call it? Dang it, Corazon, what is it? Linking your words together. That might be the lingo we're using when we're speaking fluently or natively, right? But of course, if your language is a second language, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're able to convey what it is you want to say. So, we've talked about shopping, we've talked about travel. Now, what about getting directions? Okay, so again, similar to finding your way or to traveling. If you're looking for somewhere, you might say, how do I get to blank? Where is blank? To find out how to get there. If you're giving directions, and let's say you come across a foreigner, okay? Let's say you come across a foreigner, and they're asking for directions. Keep it simple. Start with the basics like go straight, turn left, turn right. Add landmarks like it's across from the library or next to the bank to make it even clearer. So they're looking for like a specific restaurant or a hotel or a museum. Giving those kinds of directions will help the person easier. It will make it easy for them to go, oh, okay, it's across from the park, or it's next to the library, or it's by the coffee shop. If the more information you can give, the more specific detail you can give, the better it can be. Go straight, and then if you turn left, it's going to be across the street from the coffee shop, or something like that. Okay, so if you're looking, guys, okay, you might say, how do I get to the museum? Okay, how do I get to the museum? So you're asking for directions to a specific place. Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left. It's next to the library. You're giving clear directions where a location is, okay? Where is the main entrance? You're asking for location details, okay? Asking for location details. Any questions so far, guys? Zyrodrone still here. RTL still here. Joke Ari still here. I don't think Corzon's gonna have questions about this. Can you tell me how to get to the park? It's a direct question. Head down the street, turn right at the stop sign. You'll see the park on your left. So if someone gives you directions, it's always helpful to repeat them back to make sure you understand. So try asking, so I go straight and then turn left to confirm. So usually repeating the person's direction will help clarify your understanding, okay? So if you're getting directions from somebody, it's always good to repeat the directions given to you to add clarity to what you understand, okay? So, again, so you repeat back. So you can say, okay, can you tell me how to get to the park? Head down this street, turn right at the stop sign. You'll see the park on your left. So you'll see something like, oh, so I head down and then turn right, the stop sign, and the park will be on my left. And then they'll pretty much confirm, yes, it will be. Okay. Zyrodrome is typing, so I can slow down a bit, wait for her question. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next one. If you keep it simple and don't add a lot of detail, it can be easy. That's a little more specific in your example, Zyrodrome. Like, for example, if you're trying to give advice or a recommendation, you can still use the same terminology. All right, good night, Teacher Corzon. Thank you. So, like, if you're Zyrodrome, if you want to come up and listen and talk, you're welcome to, by the way. I know if you want to, I'll send you an invite. I know you can't request, but I will give you that invite. Why can't I invite you? Oh, there you go. If you want to come up, that is. It's up to you. Um, but yeah, I had a good question. But I think if you think too much about it, then you'll, um, it won't. It would be more confusing if you think too much about it.
Hi, Teacher Grant. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So you make a good point, and I guess you're getting like a premium stage class now because there's only two people here. But I mean, like, you make a good point when it comes to giving directions. If you're giving a recommendation or your advice, use the same terminology. If they're asking for a good restaurant and you're, I don't know, in the middle of the quad or the main area, the Coliseum or whatever, you can say, oh, if you go to blah, 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 if you go down to the corner and you'll see a coffee shop across the street. Give them a landmark that you want them to go to, so you know. So from that landmark, for example, let's say there's a really good, I don't know, a really good Indian restaurant. I'm just making it up, and the coffee shop is like your landmark. If you go across the street, you'll see a Starbucks. Keep going straight until you reach the end of the road, then turn left, and the restaurant will be on that street or whatever. So you just have to tweak your advice a bit. You have to tweak your phrasing a bit if you're giving the advice route, but you still can use the same strategy. You can still use the same strategy. So
Well, that's quite helpful, actually. And I'm sorry, I was shy to come up on the stage because my network is always ditching me for some reason. I've moved to the new place and the network is not really great here. So and
oh,
that's
I
why I
hear
was
you.
just like,
You're clear as a whistle. You're very very clear. So there's no issues with your
yeah,
connection.
I mean that's the problem. Sometimes it works so well, and sometimes it just it's so bad. But I think the things that you explain are so helpful. Sometimes what happens is we use kilometers. And there are some travelers, some
Oh,
people who are like, who are coming from different countries. They don't understand the distance, kilometers or something.
so
So it's really difficult to explain them.
Um, uh, to be honest, you don't need to say. I mean, in the states or in your country, they don't need to say, "Oh, it's so many kilometers away, or meters away, or feet away, or inches away, or whatever, or miles away." Unless, I mean, I'm talking more so like if they're walking around, right? If they're walking around, because you're not going to tell somebody to walk. I don't know, 10 kilometers away. Um, I mean, and it's up to to be honest, just as I joke with you guys sometimes, or kind of give you guys a hard time, you do not need to hold their hand. Okay, if they're a traveler in another country and they know it's going to be kilometers, everyone has a freaking cell phone, right? Everyone has a smartphone. It doesn't take 2 seconds to convert it. If you say, "Oh, it's 6 kilometers," convert it. The person should be well versed to convert it. Okay, like they should be. I mean, especially if they're in a new country. Like it's a given. Like I hate to say the phrase. My father hates when I say this, but it's common sense. So when you're giving directions, oh, it's about 2 kilometers away. I don't know what 2 kilometers is in miles. I have an idea because I've learned like to give it. I think 1 mile is about 3 kilometers, give or take, I believe. I might be wrong. I'd have to look it up again. So I'll know which is under a mile, right? Um, but like I said, don't.
Yeah, sometimes it gets really confusing because when they are specifically asking about the gas station or a nice hotel to stay, but yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't need to hold their hands,
No,
and they
don't.
have the technology to convert kilometers to miles or whatever system they use. So you're right. I will try that next time.
Yeah, and again, now use your best judgment. I mean, I don't want to say like look at their physicality. Like if the person looks really overweight and they're walking around, maybe you might not suggest them to walk. Maybe you can take the bus and just go 3 stops and you'll be at the place. I mean, I'm just making an assumption, like, but like, use your best judgment if they're walking distance, and usually the John Doe or the Jane Doe is going to be supposedly walking distance, or maybe not. Maybe they are from a different hotel, or maybe they've just arrived into the main area of that country or that city. Sorry, I shouldn't say that city. And then if you think that there's a better place, like if you're in area A and you think area D is going to be a better place for them, or you've been there before, because area D is very beautiful. It has a lot of places you can go to. This is a really great hotel. You can either take the bus and it will take about 40. Usually give them a time limit. You don't really have to say how long it is. It's about a 30-minute bus ride, and you go 5 stops, or whatever, or you get off at this stop, so you give that kind of detail that way. So that's my 2 cents. Like if you're the country that person's in, and the area that the person is asking to go to or asking your recommendation. Just give them your 2 cents. If it's a restaurant, obviously, unless you really think the restaurant's too good to be true, you're not going to want to send them 30 minutes away. As an example, right? If they've just arrived and you're having a conversation, I just arrived. Where would you recommend I go? That lead-in can give you kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a, not I'm trying to think of the right word. If someone says they just arrived and they want a recommendation on where to go, that can give you the ticket to tell them to go to area D when they're in area A. And that might send them on a bus route or a taxi route or whatever. But if they're like in an area that's very populated and there's a lot of restaurants and area A very well, you can say, there's a restaurant. It's about 5 minutes away. You're not far. Just walk down this area and you'll find it. That's, again, it's to your own discretion on how you're going to convey that. So the idea of this lesson, and this will be uploaded for others to watch, is just to kind of give them practical examples of what they might say. The next slide I have is about ordering food without feeling awkward. And this is more like your situation. So if you're ever in a country that speaks English and you want to convey easily, you can start off by saying, I'd like this, or can I get this? And it's a polite and clear way. If you want to talk about flavors or preferences, like if you want it spicy or sweet or salty or sour, you can describe, like maybe you're getting a bucket of chicken or whatever, and they have a sauce on it, or maybe it's a soup and they make it spicy or they make it non-spicy. So you can add those preferences in it. So, I want a chicken sandwich. I want it spicy, or I want the chicken.
Yeah.
I want the sauce on this order to be sweet. I want the sweet and sour sauce. If you're in the States or the UK or Australia, you're usually going to see the kind of sauces that you want, right? If you know ideally what kind of flavor you want, you can tell them. Maybe they don't have sweet named, but I want a sweet sauce. And they'll say, I recommend this sauce. And you might say, sure. If you're ordering, I'd like a chicken sandwich, please. Can I get a large coffee to go? It's if you're requesting a takeout. So they ask you for a preference. You can say, I love sweet desserts. And the person at the counter will probably recommend something. You should try this ABC food.
Yeah, I got it. What about you? What challenges did you face when you moved to a country where nobody speaks English. I guess you are in Vietnam or Philippines. I'm not sure.
I'm in Vietnam right
But
now,
what?
but I lived in China for 8 years, and that's a good question. To be honest, I had a translation app. I would take a picture, I'd highlight it, I'd translate, and I would just show them a picture of what I want. And that's pretty much, and it didn't take much, it didn't take 2 seconds for them to see what I wanted. Or, for example, I might know some foods, right? Like I might know some names of some dishes, right? And I might know some. I knew some key foods, right? Like if I wanted to have pork, a pork steamed stuffed bun. Those are popular in China. They call them baozi. Baozi. I know I'm probably spelling it wrong, but like that. So I go, 猪肉 baozi, and they understand, or noodle, or tiro, right? Uh, or shrimp. Sometimes they have shrimp. Yeah. So, um, you know some Chinese? Is that wrong?
Yes, I know a little bit Chinese. I know a couple of dishes like shui jiao, which is dumplings,
Oh
and
no, jiaozi, isn't it?
yeah.
Jiaozi, right? Anyways, yeah, yeah, dumplings.
I
But
I can yeah, I can recognize a couple of beginner level words
yeah, the
in
same
Mandarin,
here.
but I'm not so fluent.
Yeah, so as am I. I'm not fluent at all. They go, but you lived in China for 8 years. Anyways, that's besides the point. But for me, like
I
I became like a. It's funny because for 2 years I didn't know how to count, and my friend's like, you should at least know your numbers. So I don't know how to explain it, and this is maybe something that just comes to your mind if you put your focus on it. I started to remember my numbers within like 2 days. I'm just like in my head. I just got 一二三四五六七八九十十一21三十
十一
oh
十二
no, I'm
十三
talking about like
yeah
numbers like 10、20、30 no八十 you know I remembered how to count to 100, right? So 85 would be 81, right? Because the way, again, if you count in English, it's really easy. If you know 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, all you need to know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After you know, you're counting by tens. So if you know, so if it's 5, 5, you know it's 55. So 55, right? 10、20、30、40、50、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、11、12、13、14、15、16、17、18、19、20、21、22、23、24、25、26、27、28、29, etc. So if you can just think of simple things and you just kind of put your mind to it, you'll end up memorizing it instantly. So anyways, back to the food thing. Again, varies. You can take these as you want, and you can tweak them the way you want. If you're talking about your dislikes or likes, I'm not a fan of salty snacks. Other phrases might be useful. Is what do you recommend? Can I get this without onions? If you're asking for a special circumstance, I'll take the same as her. And maybe you're in a party of 4. I'm gonna have what she has as well. Can I get a glass of water? So again, tweak them as you want. These are phrases that are easy to use, simple, explaining exactly what you want. So hey Jenna, you still here? Oh, I see now. I see more people now. Aim and Kai. Is it Kai? And DK Tozen. Okay, awesome. So the last one I have. Oh, actually, that was the last one. All right, so we talked about shopping, talked about travel, talked about directions and food. These aren't the only areas. These are just things I put together. So asking for prices, finding your way, ordering a meal, These are phrases that are going to help you. Now, what I like to do is talk a little bit about another FAQ session that I think are these questions are asked, and I will try my best to give my own 2 cents. And again, I have good news. I am recording this, so you guys will be able to see this and see my notes as I'm giving the class. So, how can I stop translating in my head and start thinking in English? So, to think in English, start by using English for simple thoughts, everyday situations. If you see a tree, just think tree instead of translating. Even if it's just in your head, you can say, I'm getting coffee. It's sunny today. Another way to use English to English dictionaries, instead of translating a word, look up its definition in English to get used to thinking directly in English. At the store, think, I need milk, eggs, bread, instead of translating. If you're planning your day, mentally saying, I'll finish my work and then go to the gym. So in your mind, you can think in English. You don't have to necessarily say it out loud. So anything, and Xylophone, you have a very grasp of English as it is. I don't necessarily know if this is something you struggle with. Do you find yourself cheating and speaking in your native, not speaking, but thinking in your native language? Do you find yourself cheating sometimes and going, wait, oh, and then if you mentally think in English, then, oh, speak, Xylophone, speak. You're on stage, right? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Well, I don't necessarily think in my native all the time, and most of the time I'm actually thinking in English. That's why I'm really prompt in replying whenever somebody asks me a question.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me. It comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, most of the times when, even if I always suggest people whenever, although I'm not an expert in English speaking or maybe grammar or linguistics, but whenever somebody asks me about how to think in English, I just suggest them one thing, that start even if you don't have anybody to speak to in English language, just start speaking to yourself. Start translating things around you, like a table or a chair or anything that you see around you. Just start translating those things in your mind and start speaking to yourself in English.
Exactly. Yeah, so for yourself, you don't necessarily cheat. I'm not trying to sound modest for you, is that you don't necessarily need this tip per se. I mean, you can be blunt and say, I already do this, and it's fine, because again, you're at the level that you don't need to hear that repetition. But you don't cheat in your native tongue. You're always thinking in English. And of course, maybe there's an exception. If you're with family that doesn't speak English, then of course you're not going to think in English. You're going to just naturally speak your native tongue. So, but again, for those advice, if you want to give your friends, that is something that you can advise them of. It doesn't they don't necessarily need to say out loud, I need eggs, milk, and bread. Like, they just need to mentally think it in their mind. If they can think it, then it's already going to be premeditated in their minds. Like, if you think in English, then you're going to eventually have that that trigger where you're going to speak English, right? So, yeah, but that's a question I think I hear a lot. And it's hard because I don't know. I'm not a non-native speaker. I'm not a non-native English person. Like, I don't know the common questions that are asked, because I only can research online going, what are the most common questions asked by ESL speaker or learners, whatever. So I only can go based on that, and then I can look at their suggestions and kind of give my own take on it. Another one I get asked a lot, and maybe you've said this or you've thought this, what's the best way to practice listening to different accents? So, as it's been mentioned by all the teachers, many accents, American, British, Australian, and a whole lot more, right? They have their own sounds, their own slang, their own rhythm. And I guess in a matter of speaking, understanding them can be tricky. So, but if you're exposing yourself to multiple accents, then you'll expose yourself to understanding English more naturally. So it will help you prepare. If you go to the States, you realize that there are probably like over 100 types of accents. You know, it's amazing. You know, if you want to hear, if you want to like be more diverse, you can watch BBC News. You can watch Australian YouTubers. You can watch reality shows. You know, NPRs. Again, like I said, it just depends how diverse you want to be. That's kind of where I am here. If you want to add to it, you can. Okay, here's another one. Grammar. How can I improve my English grammar without memorizing complicated rules? So, it is essential, but memorizing rules can feel overwhelming and boring. So the key is just to have it in context and through usage, not drilling rules. Using grammar naturally, you'll start to understand that you don't need to remember every rule. So instead of focusing on rules, I can't speak, guys. Try reading short stories, articles, social media posts. Pay attention to how sentences are formed. Now, you go to social media post, you'll see. Uh-oh. Oh, are you still here?
I
Oh.
guess my network is not really working great.
Oh. Sorry if you were speaking. I hear you now.
Yeah.
Um, so, boy, you guys are getting like an exclusive class. Jen has been here for a good time. I just said hi. That was it. And what's really cool is I have this recorded, so I'm too lazy to edit it, so it's just gonna be edited. Just upload it. What do you call it? Upload it dry. What do you call something when? What's the slang to say that you're gonna upload something without editing it? There's a slang for it. I can't think of it. So, short and sweet. Did you hear what I was saying about the grammar rules? Like, honestly, don't focus on them. And it's like saying it lightly. Like, don't focus on them. Social media posts, short stories, articles. Pay attention to how they're formed, patterns, apps, Grammarly. I can't tell you how often I just use Grammarly. Like, use Grammarly. They'll guide you. You can tweak it the way you want. But Grammarly is a good app. They have a free version. I think it pretty much does everything a normal person needs. The only reason why someone might need Pro is I don't know why would they need Pro. Maybe it gives more concise information. But write about your day in a journal. Focus on using complete sentences if you want to practice your grammar. Read English blogs, news articles. Notice the sentence structures are used. Use Grammarly while you write to catch grammar mistakes. It helps you internalize grammar naturally, so you start to understand it as you go. And I got two more questions here. How can I stop mixing up English tenses when I speak? So it's more about practicing. Okay, use time markers. Yesterday or next week to match the right tense. Yesterday I went to the store. Tomorrow I will go to the store. Record yourself describing a past experience, a present routine, and a future plan, focusing on the correct tense usage. I can't tell you how often I hear mistakes made when it comes to speaking or in the past, in the present, in the future. Now, I kind of get immune to it. Like, I don't pay much attention, but I do from time to time. Especially if a person in the English Hub is... Oh, do you want back up? Is that what it's on? I'll bring it back up. Oh no, she left. Okay. Okay, so guys, how to stop mixing up English tenses is basically... if you're translating, guys, it's not going to work. To avoid confusion, focus on mastering the basics first. Present, past, future. Practice each one separately and build an understanding of how they're used in different situations. one effective way is time markers. Yesterday, tomorrow, or now. So in your sentence, remind yourself which tense you're working with. So watching short videos where native speakers use the tense in context can reinforce your understanding. Create a 3-sentence story. 1 sentence in the past, 1 sentence in the present, and 1 in the future to connect all 3. These are strategies that will help you become more comfortable with tenses, so you're likely to mix them up. And finally, how can I learn English slang without sounding forced? Okay? Slang can make you sound more fluent, but it's easy to overuse it or use it incorrectly. Sound naturally, start by observing how native speakers use slang in casual conversations. I'm going to go to some practical tips. Start with a few versatile slang words like cool, no problem, and use them in everyday sentences. Watch movies or YouTube channels that showcase casual conversation English to hear slang in action. Practice by saying phrases like "that's awesome," "sounds good," in response to everyday situations. So these are going to be methods that will help you adopt slang in a way that feels authentic and natural over time. All right. So for those who just got here, for Zoom, for Spira, for Nafi, for Whoosh, I do have a video I'm going to upload right now, and it will give you the full lecture that you missed today. So I'm going to show you guys really quick what I'm going to do. So we'll finish our lecture here. All right. So, and when you watch this video, give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. All right. Guys, that's the end of our lecture. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment in the video below, and I hope to see you guys next time.